Life in the galaxy evolves in many different ways, and always adjusts to its environment in the most efficient way possible. Since all life forms on the same planet are relatives of each other, it's only natural that they would have a similar design. When we discovered Terra, we found it to be a very interesting world. Almost all the animals in the local ecosystem looked pretty damn cute. From herbivores to top predators. Who knows what conditions set evolution in this direction, but most of the creatures here are worth a squeeze. What a joy it was to learn that this planet was also inhabited by an intelligent species. They call themselves humans. Like other animals of their biosphere, they were very small, about a third of the height of an adult Trazi, agile, fast, and not very strong. It felt like even a child could easily overpower them. If they weren't sentient, we would regard them as possible pets. We also noticed that they're extremely curious and reckless. It was a big surprise to us that they had already landed a crew on the moon of their planet. With their level of technology, it was scary to think how many people died in the process. Then we learned that they were in a constant civil war over comically unimportant things. They took themselves quite seriously, which, given their general silliness, looked rather adorable. We tried to observe them covertly, but they were surprisingly quick to detect our drones and even managed to shoot down a few. We found it amusing that their nations decided to keep it a secret. We usually have strict rules about first contact with pre-FTLs, but when their scientists started finding our space stations, we had to break the protocols. We expected them to behave isolationist, like all other races, but they turned out to be extremely social. Within just a couple of decades, at least one human was participating in nearly every crew and planetary mission. They acted almost like children, marveling at even the simplest things, though their inexperience often led to many clumsy mistakes. Sometimes it seemed that this species had no instinct for self-preservation whatsoever. Keeping your human from accidentally hurting themselves had become one of the tasks of any good captain. Though it's worth saying, their skills were often indispensable. It's amazing how many problems can be solved with just a willingness to take risks. Also, their natural ability made them excellent scouts and mechs. Humans were the only species that could climb vertically up and squeeze through narrow corridors, so we even started designing our ships to fit their anatomy. And then, one terrible day, we were suddenly attacked by a strange and deadly force from the center of the galaxy. It happened so fast that we didn't even realize what was happening. It turned out that an extremely militaristic and xenophobic civilization had developed a replicator probe to conquer the outer regions. These machines were specifically designed to reproduce themselves from any material they could find, and destroy all intelligent life in the galaxy, except their creators. We tried to negotiate with this hostile race, and they simply ignored us. We offered them resources, technologies, planets, anything to stop this madness. But they wouldn't even give us a chance to surrender. They considered themselves the perfect life form, the pinnacle of creation, and wanted only one thing: to remain the only sapiens in the entire universe. Our lines of defense fell one after another. Our forces were pushed back and defeated without the slightest effort. We were doing everything we could to keep them away from inhabited worlds, but we didn't stand a chance. This all-destroying force was the universal weapon, the ultimate in military craftsmanship. Our best scientists had no idea even how to reproduce the machines, let alone surpass. And then they attacked Huxley 6. Not long ago, we decided to give our human friends the technology for FTL travel. They quickly found a suitable planet and began to establish their very first colony. Of course, the word suitable was an exaggeration. By our standards, it was literally hell itself. But humans, for some reason, were happy to settle there. It was their bastion among the stars. We tried to warn them of the impending threat, but our lines of communication were cut. the deadly machines swarmed onto the planet and wiped out every last inhabitant. The events that have followed are to this day beyond our comprehension. Immediately after the incident on Huxley 6, an entire fleet of spaceships built on our technology moved from Terra towards the front lines. We have no idea why it was built, or who they were up against. Apparently, even with the advent of the space age, their nations couldn't find common ground and were preparing for another internecine war, just in case. Without reducing their FTL speed, they began dropping nuclear missiles and detonating them close to the targets. The Doppler effect caused the electromagnetic radiation to compress, burning up all the electronics ahead. Yes, humans had nukes on their spacecraft. And yes, we warned them how dangerous it could be. Nuclear explosives were often used in mining and terraforming, but they were always built on site. Transporting them on ships was strictly forbidden. We also couldn't understand why humans needed so many rather crude terraforming tools, and why their design looked so similar to the other weapons they used before entering the space age. The radiation trick, however, turned out to be extremely effective. Soon our allies defeated the probes and broke through the front lines. The most disturbing part started when they got to the aggressor's home system. One can only wonder why they refused to stop, even when the race that attacked us gave up resisting. The creators kept trying to communicate, but Terra's ships rejected all incoming transmissions. Now, their home planet is a radioactive desert. The entire species is considered completely extinct. The humans sent us a formal apology for using our technology without our knowledge, and promised not to act without our permission in the future. They also gave us most of their space fleet and told us that, from this day forward, our people would never go through such horrors again. Later, we asked their ambassadors what was really happening in that system. Was such over-the-top cruelty really necessary? They looked at us as if they were looking at children. They just reminded us of ourselves.